It's awfully smoky for Connecticut. Anyway, I'll take my mask off for a bit because today is the transplanting day for the Dorset Naga. It's June 8th and it's actually a little bit late, but we've had some cold weather overnight. So now finally this is in this half barrel container, which is 23, almost 24 gallons. First I added some rocks to the bottom over the large holes in the bottom of this container, just to make sure that no soil would leak out of the bottom. And it takes up about 1.5 bags of this Happy Frog, so about 3 cubic feet of soil. And to that, I've amended some bone meal for added nitrogen and phosphorus, along with calcium, which will slow release over the course of the season. I also added just a bit of our own homemade compost. It's not quite finished, but it's close enough, and I strained it through, adding it in about halfway through filling. And then I'm adding 2 pockets of Garden Tone, an all-purpose organic slow-release fertilizer, just a few inches below the surface of the soil, and I'm not mixing that in. That will sort of act as an even slower release over the season. It's toward the top of the soil, so as it rains, as it breaks down, it will naturally filter down and provide nutrients to this plant through the season. And my hope is that I won't have to fertilize this at all throughout the season. We'll see how that goes, but so far so good. This plant is about 2 feet tall at this point. It is putting on a lot of flowers already, and some of them are forming fruits. I haven't decided yet if I want to pick those off, but I'm just gonna see. I hope this plant has enough vigor at this point to continue growing larger and not stop and fruit. If it does that and I'm noticing slower growth, then I will have to pick off those flowers and try to reinvigorate the plant to grow larger. Obviously, this isn't big enough to be a prize plant, so we're hoping this will grow massively large, maybe 6 feet tall or so, but that's the hope. We'll see where it gets. This is the other Dorset Naga. It is smaller and it's also in a smaller container, but there's something special about this container. You may have noticed this funnel here. This is a self-watering container. It's got water in the bottom, and there's a little bit of separation between that water and the bottom of the soil. And so the roots of this plant will always have access to water. I'll keep it filled through here. There's an overflow in case too much water builds up. It can flow out of the bottom and it will never touch the bottom of the soil. There will also be a video about how I created this and the benefits of using self-watering or sub-irrigated planters, and how to do it yourself if you're interested. But as for this plant, it is smaller and it definitely seems to be stunted at this point. We had some really serious issues earlier in the season with especially this plant. It had really bad edema indoors, and so did the other plant, but this one really seemed to take it harder, and it hasn't really grown much since transplanting about 2 weeks ago. I've got my fingers crossed that this plant will pick up steam when the weather starts to cooperate more. It has been cold overnight, so I've been covering this plant with a little bit of row fabric if the temperatures drop below 50 degrees overnight. But it really looks like we're in the clear, so we'll see how things go from here. And the last step is to just water this in. I want this to integrate as quickly as possible. The roots are strong, but I want to make sure that they start growing out into the surrounding soil as quickly as possible. So getting the surrounding soil and the root system nice and moist helps with that. I'll also be staking this, and it will definitely be needing more support later in the season as it gets even bigger. So I'll just be kind of rolling with the punches there and adding some stakes around the edges as needed. I don't think a normal sized tomato cage would be enough for this plant in the long run, but we'll see. All right, that's all for now. This plant is gonna stay positioned here since this is so heavy. I don't think I can move it if I wanted to. So there'll be another video in maybe a month, month and a half to see how the plant's doing. Hopefully it's a lot bigger than it is now. Thanks so much for watching Pepper Geek, and we'll see you next time.